Hello, 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 and welcome to the conversation. I am Natasha Lamar, and I have my lovely colleague and co-host, Jadia Jackson.
Hello, hello, hello.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about who is bringing what to the table. Now, I know, and this is how I know that I'm getting old because the comment that I'm about to say, when I say it, I'm like, you too old to say that. But people are now saying, you don't want this smoke. And I feel like this topic is going to create some smoke for people, but it's okay because we big girls. And so if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to myself, Natasha Lamar at thewivesinc.com, or you can reach Jadia Jackson. You can share your contact information, Jadia.
YouAreWorthy.org.
Yeah, reach out if you have any questions or any comments. But I want to talk about who's bringing what to the table. So if you've looked at all these different social media platforms, people are talking about, men are talking about asking women what are they bringing to the table, and women are asking men what are they bringing to the table, and so on and so forth. So that is what I want to talk about today. So have you even heard of, this who bringing what to the table, this topic?
A little bit. I do know that there's this conversation going around of what is it that you have to offer,
Mm-hmm.
and so that is in that line of what are you bringing to the table. And I know that sometimes when I listen to people talk, they're saying beauty isn't enough or looks isn't enough, and that you have to be bringing more to the table than just your looks. And I think um, when I hear it, I'm listening to like we're monetizing certain things, and I'm not hearing um, how are we coming together as a couple to and what is it that I need to be my best self? It's like, what kind of money do you have? What assets are you bringing? So that's the money conversation,
Okay.
and versus what type of father are you going to be? What type of mother are you going
Mm.
to be? And what type of partner will you be? What's going on in your family? Like, because when I marry you, I'm marrying into your family. So, what's the dynamics of your family? Are you expend? Are you remember a long time ago, marriage was not romantically, it was about two families coming together to build more political clout. So,
Or
if
financial.
absolutely. So it's usually both because if there's financial resources and the other one is bringing the political clout, they were coming together to create even more power. So when I listen to people now, I'm like, how did we get here?
Right, right, right. And so when I hear and see you saying this person bringing this and that, it makes me think about partnership. And the interesting thing about partnership is an arrangement. It is an agreement. It is a somebody cooperating in the same system to advance whatever the goals are for the relationship. So it's like, what is it that I have and what is it that you have, and how can we partner in this? Because partnership actually fosters closeness, and when you have a true partnership, then you can begin to build a relationship. And this is the interesting thing about partnership. Partnership really depends on where you are in life, how old you are, when you met your partner, and what that really looked like. And so, what I want to talk about today is I want to talk about partnership, because as long as both parties are agreeing to the ultimate goal of the relationship, then I think understanding what you bring to the table is actually shifted to understanding your contribution or your partnership, your relationship or your contribution towards the partnership, and not worried about that table. So, the first thing that I want to share when I think of partnership, because I think partnership is important. I think different people bring different things, hence to why um, men think the way that they think and women think the way that they think, because it's a partnership. I could not imagine marrying somebody like me. While I think I'm an outstanding person with a good heart, I couldn't imagine marrying me, right? And so I think understanding that is very, very important. But the first thing I want to share is, in partnership, it's important for there to be an equal influence over important decisions. It doesn't mean that depending on what your strength is or what your partner's strength is, the other person may say, look, babe, I know, finance is my thing, so I'll get the final say in this. It doesn't mean that that can't happen, but understanding that there's an equal influence over important decisions, which is really important when it comes to partnership. What are your thoughts about that?
I absolutely agree with you. That's where, to me, that's the accountability. I'm accountable for this. I have the veto in this. I have the final say in it. However, I want all your input because your input is going to help lead and guide me to the best decision for us as a couple.
Right,
If I don't have your input, I don't want it all. I just I, we have agreed that I am the best fit for this.
right,
Kind of like a job. When I apply for that job, I'm not applying to be a pilot because I'm not the best fit for that. But numbers, I'm the best fit for it, right? So the finances in the family, I'm the best fit. However, input from my spouse, absolutely. What is it that we're doing? What's the goal? And I like what you said. What are the goals? So financially, what are the goals for the family for this year, 5 years, 20 years out? Where do we want to be?
right,
And then it's like I began to help deliver that. I began to help create that. I then began to remind you, okay, this is what we're working toward. This doesn't line up with the plan.
right.
Reminding my spouse about the plan. I like what you're saying. I also want to just add on to when we begin to partner with someone, I like, is there an agreement? What is
Mm-hmm.
their agreement about? And to me, it's like, what is it that you need to be in relationship with me? And it works across our relationships, not just romantically, even in our friendships. Like, what do you need to be my friend, and vice versa? What I need from you to be your friend, and all of that, because then there becomes this unspoken but spoken
Right,
agreement that we have.
right. I love it. I absolutely love what it is that you said. And I'm so glad that you brought in this partnership isn't just intimate partner. It can be relational. There should be an agreement. And while you're dating with while you're dating your spouse, your partner, y'all should be talking about what it is that you can be responsible for, what it is that you're good at, what it is that you're not good at. And so there can be some agreement. Same thing in friendships. You should be talking about what you're good at and what you're not, your likes, your dislikes, what it is that you need. And it has me to think both ways when it comes to my friendships with the things that I need. And it has me to think about when it comes to my partner, the things that I need and making sure that those things line up. Not only that, making sure that the person who you are in relationship, you're able to also honor what it is that they need, because it wouldn't matter if I was getting everything that I wanted and needed, and then the person who I'm in either a friendship with or my intimate partner, such as my husband, can't meet my needs. And so it's so important to make sure that those conversations are happening. So I think that's important, but it goes back to equal commitment to the relationship. You both have to be committed to the relationship. And I'm telling you this quick story. One of my coaches slash good friends, we were having a conversation about marriage and relationships, and she shared that in a relationship there's no 50-50. And it's like, huh? She's like, so if you were giving 50, what happened to the other 50? She's like, you should be really giving 100. And the conversation went like 100%. What would that look like? She said, try it and see, because you get what you give. And so if you're giving 100, then you're going to get 100. And that was so interesting to me. And it goes back to understanding in a partnership, even if your partner isn't giving all that they have, you should be responsible, if this is a true committed partnership, to giving what you have. So there's no tug of war. And you know what? He's giving 25. Well, I'm going to give 25. You know what? He's giving 52. So I'm going to give 52. But being responsible for your part, hence to why it is so important to understand the level of commitment, so that you're not consumed in a relationship where you're giving everything, your partner is giving nothing.
I love what you're saying because what popped into my head is I definitely agree with the 100 across the board. I'm giving you everything that I have versus holding back. But
Mm.
what popped into my head was people are afraid of being taken advantage of. But that's not there's another word that people use. Like, I got played, right? Like,
Use, trick.
used, I got used and abused.
They're my words. Somebody done tricked me.
Oh, that's the word I'm looking for. I was tricked. I've been bamboozled. versus
Hoodwinked.
versus really being clear about I gave 100%. And there's
Mhm.
a risk. And the risk is the bigger the risk, the bigger the payoff.
Right.
So, but also the bigger the loss. So I played the game full out. When you look at professional athletes, they play full out,
They
right?
do.
They're not paying attention to is my teammate giving 100%? They all give 100%. So at the end of the day, if they lost that game, they're a little disappointed. They go back and they review what happened, but they know they gave their all, especially when you're at the final, right? When it's the playoff and it's the last game, and they realize, I think it was wasn't Boston who came back and then they got down to the last game, but it's like, wow, they gave it their all. They really
Yeah.
put it all in here, and they can feel good about that. So that's the thing that came up, the being mindful of not giving to get, because
Mm.
sometimes people give to get. Well,
Right.
I gave you this, so now you're not giving me, versus
Right.
then was there true giving? Because
Right.
giving is you give it and you don't remember that you gave it. They're
Mm.
reminding you and you're like, I did that. I don't remember doing that. And it's like, yes, you did, because that was genuine giving. You gave it, and you gave it from your heart with no expectations, with no sense of reciprocity.
Right. Right. And that's exactly what it means. To give is to transfer something without expectation of receiving something back from somebody else. Now, unless you petty, petty Betty or petty Crocker is what I like to call it. Now, if you petty, you keep in score. But if you keep in score, the expectation, the unrealistic, unspoken expectation is you do, and then they do for you. But you know what I had to learn, and I had to learn this the hard way. Don't give with the intentions of giving back. And so if I give, I'm not expecting nothing back. But it took me a minute to get there, because when you grow up thinking I'm only going to do for people who do for me, maybe at some point somebody was in a relationship where there was some unequal sharing and or giving, and or you gave something to someone and someone actually gave you something back, but it wasn't what you gave, so it didn't feel like they were giving you something, but they were giving you what they had, and that's what you needed. And so it goes back to really understanding again. True partnership is really understanding the goal of the relationship. Like, what is the ultimate goal of the relationship, whether it's intimate partner and or personal. Also, it goes back to what you just said a second ago: equal personal responsibility. You being responsible for your input and outcome, and so the other person with theirs, so that when it comes to when it comes time to make a decision, you already know what needs to happen. If you've talked about this before a decision needed to be made, you already know. But you can't get 2 years in the relationship, whether it's intimate partner or friend. You can't get 2 years into the relationship talking about you, the finance person, and they like, wait a minute, we didn't talk about that. Or you are the person who's going to be responsible for cleaning. It's like, wait a minute, we didn't talk about that. And that's how a person can begin to feel tricked or taken advantage. So those things need to be talked about at first. And I'm going to say this, I've had clients to say to me, I've had individuals say to me, oh, I'm not going to tell my partner what I need because they're going to use it against me. Wait a minute. If you with somebody that would take your heart in your deepest fears and use it against you, then that there's bigger
They sleeping
things
with the
happening.
enemy is what I say.
Ooh, Lord, sleeping. Oh my! But guess what? If you sleeping with the enemy, y'all gonna kill me for saying this. If you sleeping with the enemy, and you know what? I'm not gonna say it. Did you see the movie? Did you see this? It's a clip with Ayanna Van Zant. She's on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and on the Oprah Winfrey Show is all these men who got children by all these women, and the men are just saying how hurt and how scared they are. And this one lady, she highly educated, she's well put together, and she said, he's just not doing anything for my child, and he's just not. And Ayanna said, so what is it that you need for him? I need him to show up as a better dad. She went on and on and on, and he is this, and she was just digging into him. She said, so let's go back to what it is that you need and stop assaulting him, because you have to look at yourself. What was going on with you to have sex with a man that you was not in a committed relationship, already had 7 kids and wasn't taking care of them? And then it dawned on me. when you're in a relationship, the responsibility is just not on one person. So when somebody is sleeping with the enemy, ooh, that just made me think about the person that is the least friend of mine, and I got them not in my house, but in my bed. To me, that is so sad and scary. And can you imagine actually sleeping with the enemy? And my question would be, what is going on with you to have you invite someone in that is detrimental to your mental health, detrimental to your self-care, detrimental to your spiritual well-being? What is happening with you that would invite the enemy into your bed? And so again, that is why is it important. It is very important to understand your responsibility as relates to this partnership. What do you have to offer? What are you willing to take? And what is it that your partner has to offer? What they're willing to take? Now, listen, I just said a mouthful. I'm going to give you an opportunity to close that up. We're going to end this conversation. Yes,
I love what you said, because at the end of the day, my closing statement is know thyself.
Ooh.
You have to go within, because you are so right. What have all of us get into situations that we're now blaming the other person? Because remember, I'm pointing one finger out and three coming back. I have to look at myself.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I love today's topic.
Listen, there's nothing else I can say on that is know thyself. And so if you are feeling like everybody in all relationships, like if you have the same theme for every man or woman you've dated, it's not about those people. It's really about you. And so you have to begin to look inward. What is happening to me that I continuously draw to me people who are takers? Or what is happening that I continuously draw to me people who are cheaters? Or what is happening within me that is continually drawing people who are controlling? And so I'm going to end on this. Know thyself. Yep. So with that being said, thank you guys for listening. If you have any questions or comments you'd like to share, or anything you'd like for us to talk about, you can send it to myself at thewivesink@yahoo.com, or you can send it to JD Jackson at
customer care at yourworthy.org.
Cool beans. Thank you all for joining. We are therapists, but we are not your therapist. So we look forward to hearing from you, and we'll see you next week. Bye.